The title of this game gave me a little bit of a problem. I mean, it's spelled out right there in English on the cartridge, The Flintstones, The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy, but the given title in Japanese is just Flintstones. Not even The Flintstones. The title screen of the game lacks the Japanese title, so I went with the full version. But if you're trying to find the game in Japan, you'll have to keep in mind to use the short version. The Flintstones were the first animated sitcom on television. They're a modern Stone Age family. The show has been bouncing around for 60 years. In fact, as I'm recording this, Fox just announced that they were producing another Flintstones series. The Flintstones marks the last time that we're going to see this style of Taito cartridge. It's not the end for Taito, though. They just decided that 1992 was the time to change things up for some reason. Of course, as a late Taito game, this is a pretty expensive one. It's a solid member of the 10,000 yen club. The club for games where if you're buying a cartridge-only copy, it'll cost you at least 10,000 yen. The plot of the game involves family pets Dino and Hoppy being abducted by an enemy of the space alien, the Great Gazoo. Now Fred has to help Gazoo reassemble his spaceship, and then they can go save their pets. There are only 8 stages in the Flintstones, but it makes up for that by making the stages incredibly difficult. This is a side-scrolling platformer where A jumps and B will attack. A quick tap will just swing the club, while holding down B will charge up for a much stronger hit. Not that you can really tell it's a much stronger hit, you'll just notice that you're taking down bosses a lot faster. Fred can also duck, kind of. He just shoves his head down, and it doesn't really let you duck underneath anything. One of the most important things in this game is that your jump extends a lot further than it looks. Holding down A will let Fred catch on a ledge, and the area that he can catch is much higher than his sprite. When you're grasping a ledge, you can press up to mantle to it. Smashing open barrels will reveal some pickups for you. Collecting this, is that a foot? Well, whatever it is, it increases your maximum health. Hearts will restore some life, and the hamburger will increase the power of your charged club swing. There are also 3 extra weapons you can collect. You use these by holding down up and pressing B. Using these sub-weapons cost coins, and those drop from enemies. Since enemies respawn when they're off-screen, it can be useful to go back and forth, defeating them over and over again to rack up some extra coins. For the sub-weapons, the axe goes in a little arc. That makes it my pick for the most useful of the sub-weapons. It's both cheap and covers area that you can't normally hit. The slingshot just shoots straight ahead in front of you. Not bad, but it's also nothing to write home about. The egg is the most powerful of the sub-weapons. Dropping it plants a bomb that will destroy everything on the screen. But it's also the most expensive sub-weapon. The controls in Flintstones are not great. On regular stages, Fred moves around like he's on ice. It takes a lot to get him going, takes a lot to make him stop. And if it's bad on regular stages, it becomes nightmarish on the ice level. I have trouble thinking of an ice stage where the controls were this bad, and they require a lot of precision platforming during it. You can't do low hops even though the game likes putting in lots of areas with low ceilings. In many of those situations, you have to run off the ledge and then catch the other side. On the world map, you'll see a few basketball courts that you can visit. Here, Fred has to play a game of one-on-one. In these matches, A will jump, and if you have the ball, B will shoot. Otherwise, B will ram into the other player. They didn't have fouls in the Stone Age. The baskets open and close periodically, which means it can be difficult to make a shot. But if after the end of 1 minute you have more points, then you've earned a new ability. You access these abilities by pressing Start, and that summons the Great Gazoo. Then you can just choose the equipment that you want to use. You've got a flight suit that will let you flap and increase altitude for a few seconds. A kangaroo that is definitely not Hoppy, that will let you do 1 large jump. And swimming flippers that are really only used on the water stage. These special items don't cost anything to use, they're just kind of annoying to keep pulling out. At the end of every stage there's a boss, and the bosses here are not very good. They're either trivially easy to hit with a couple of charged attacks, or they're virtually impossible to hit unless you have the exact right loadout when you reach them. The boss on the ice stage, for example, you can only hit in the head, which is only there when it's charging at you. And since it's tough to move on the ice, it is really hard to hit this thing and avoid its attacks. If you die, you go back to your default state of 3 hearts and no special equipment, but there are checkpoints throughout the stages where you can continue from. On the other hand, if you get a game over, then you're thrown back to the map screen. At least for that, there's unlimited continues. The Flintstones doesn't seem to be an enormously popular game in Japan. The people who I found talking about it were mainly talking about how expensive it was and how they needed to get it for their collections. While there were multiple sequels to this game, the Famicom didn't receive them. Yes, that means I won't be playing Surprise at Dinosaur Peak. The Flintstones, The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy, is an awkward game to me. I appreciate that they tried to make it into a little bit more of a dynamic platformer. They gave Fred some more interesting movement options. It's just they feel really awful to control. It makes the action feel really painful to play. And I got stuck at this part with this rising lava, and the only option I could come up with was using the gizmos to fly up faster than the lava rises. But it's pretty fast. The level design is brutally hard, but not in ways that are interesting. I can see the technical quality behind this one, but the whole thing doesn't really gel into being a good game.